Hello and welcome to Thursday Thoughts. Thursday Thoughts? What on earth are they, I hear you ask? Well, my friend Lucy and I meet every week over on Instagram to talk all things personal growth because she is as obsessed with it as I am. And we decided that we might as well put those conversations out as a weekly podcast. So now you can listen to us chat here on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we'll be talking about topics such as spirituality, limiting beliefs, the ego, imposter syndrome, gratitude, meditation, confidence, and so much more. So if you're ready, here we go.
So, this morning,
I'm going to be asking you the questions.
I know. Oh, not sure how I feel about this.
All about you. So Lucy, let's dive in.
Let's
I'm
do
looking
it.
forward to doing this.
Let's do it.
So I just, for people who are listening or watching, Lucy and I decided that we were going to take a week each and have an opportunity to talk about what we do, what we offer, because sometimes we just don't really talk about that. We talk about a million other things, but time to talk about you today, Lucy. So let's just start. Maybe just, tell everybody, and I think everybody probably has an idea who might be listening or watching, but for those who don't, what is it that you do and who are the people that you serve, you help?
So, basically, I suppose my main thing is that I have a podcast called Thrive Solo, which, well, up until recently was called Spinsterhood Reimagined. And on that podcast, I basically celebrate all of the fabulous things about being single and child free. And I also talk a lot about personal growth, basically the kind of stuff that you and I talk about. I talk a lot about on my podcast. So I have, well, 3 episodes a week, including this episode. I do usually an interview on Tuesdays, and then I do a mini-sode every Saturday. And so that's my kind of main thing. And it sort of came about pretty much out of nowhere, really, because it wasn't like I ever intended to start talking about being single and not have kids. Like I didn't, it wasn't something I ever even thought about. It sort of found me, if you like. And yeah, here we are. And I also have a membership called Thrive Solo too. So the same name as the podcast, which is a membership for single child-free women. And we have live calls. It's now, well, it was 3, it's now 4 times a month. We have meetups, we have a book club. And basically what I do for the book club is that we do one book every 2 months, because I decided that it was just too much to do. Like a book a month is quite a lot, isn't it?
Yes.
It sort of feels like quite a lot.
Yeah.
So I decided we do a book every 2 months, and what we do is they're always, or pretty much always, self-development kind of books. And then what I tend to do is like, for example, at the moment we're doing a book called Mind Magic by Dr. James Doty, which is about the neuroscience of manifestation. And what I do is I record a podcast episode to go alongside every chapter of the book. So that's kind of a component of the membership. We also have a WhatsApp group where, there's always there's not always lots of activity in it. It's some days it's super busy, sometimes it's quieter, but that's kind of the hub of the membership. And then live calls where we gather and have just really awesome conversations about all kinds of things. Sometimes about, things to do with being single, sometimes about personal growthy stuff. But the live calls are really fabulous. In fact, I've added in a live call every month because I have people all over, including people in the States and in Canada. And so I've now added a late night call, sort of a UK late night call for people in the States, because obviously the time difference and stuff. But that is my kind of main offering. I'm just trying to think what freebies I have, Polly. I have one of my freebies is my top 10 mindset tips, because mindset is something that I talk a lot about, because my kind of one of my main messages to women, what I want to do with the podcast and just, with Instagram and with my content in general, is just to sort of empower women, single women, to really grab hold of the life that they have now. And instead of worrying about if and when they're going to get into a relationship, actually making the most of the life that they have now and trying to create a life that they love right now, so that a relationship is kind of here, neither here nor there. Because I fully believe that our happiness, our true lasting happiness, has to come from within us. So, you know, you can have the husband and you can have the baby, and obviously they can bring happiness, but true lasting happiness has to come from within. And as you know, as a wife and a mum, you can't rely on external sources to make you happy. So that's really the kind of crux of what I talk about, and what I try and sort of help women to realize and understand, and to live the best possible single lives that they can right now. So
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, so it's amazing. So you basically, oh, it's, don't, yeah, Susie saying,
Yes,
don't
Susie.
forget
Oh, hi,
cockadoodle
Susie.
doodle
Yes,
loo.
thanks, Susie. Yeah, so
Yeah.
Susie, who is one of my Thrive Solo members, hi, love. She's just reminded me of something else that I do, which is called Cockadoodle-Loo. So I have a morning routine club. The name, by the way, is because my nickname is Lou. So Cockadoodle-Loo instead of Cockadoodle-Doo, obviously. And it's a morning routine club that takes place every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 6 o'clock UK time. And it's just for 30 minutes. And the reason this came about is because people who listen to you and I will not be surprised that you and I are both pretty obsessed about our morning routines. And I decided to create a morning routine club. And what I do is, for just half an hour at 6 o'clock in the morning, I walk a small group of women through a little bit of intentional breathing, a meditation. We do a visualization, and then we do some gratitude at the end. So that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays. Yeah. So thanks, Susie, for reminding me.
Amazing.
I'd actually completely forgotten, because funnily enough, I'm having the week off from Cockadoodle-Loo this week. It's normally every week, but I'm going to be up in London this week recording my audiobook, which actually takes me on to my other thing that that is very exciting, is that I've got a book coming out in June, which is called Shiny Happy Singles. The UK version is called Shiny Happy Singles, and the US version is called Thrive Solo. And I'm going to be in a studio this week recording the audiobook, which is super exciting. Although I don't know how well my voice is going to last, because for example, on the Thrive Solo calls, when I'm talking a lot, when any of us do it, your voice gets tired. So although I'm really excited about recording it, I'm also slightly apprehensive and slightly nervous about how I'm going to find it talking solidly for 8 hours. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, one little tip on
Go
that,
on.
Lucy, is when you're talking for a lot, really pause and try and take breaths through your nose rather than through your mouth, because that's going to just really help slow everything down. It's going to keep kind of moisture in so you don't get such a dry throat. It's going to help you a lot. So maybe just, yes, notice that
I
a
will
couple of
do.
times. Yeah.
Thanks, love. In fact, somebody else gave me a tip on a Thrive Solo call actually the other day. She was talking about drinking water with electrolytes and a high HP number,
Right.
8 or 9. Is it HP? No.
No, I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't know. I mean,
I've written it down. It's a particular type of water that's meant to be sort of good for drinking if you're going to be talking a lot. So
oh, right. Right.
so
So,
yeah.
gosh, let's just recap. So your main mission in life is to help women who are single and child free to actually feel good about that, and actually to focus in on the relationship that they have for themselves. And a massive part of that is the way that the lens through which they see life, rather than thinking, I need a boyfriend and I need a child to make me happy. Actually, I'm going to start on my work, loving myself and having that relationship, which, to be honest, all of us are going to be better off with if whatever our relationship status is.
Totally.
And so your mindset tips, which you've got, which anyone can pick up for free,
so
go on. Tell me about those.
They're just, it's literally just like a sort of a cheat sheet, if you like. It's just a 1-page PDF. It's called Top 10 Mindset Tips, and it's free, and you can get that by going to lucymagazine.com/mindset. And the reason I mention them is because, as you and I talk about so much, and I talk a lot about on my podcast, mindset is truly, truly key. I mean, also, I know we have to work somatically with the body as well, hence breath work and meditation and all of that kind of stuff. But I am really, really big on mindset, because the way that we think, and, you know, this relates to everything in life, like you say, not just being single and not having kids, but the way that we think is hugely, hugely, hugely important. And for many, many years, I just did not realize this. I just didn't fully understand the power of my mind. And actually, whilst my audience are single, child-free women, actually my mission is more about sort of realizing this power and this agency that we have over our lives. I think my true passion actually is to help women kind of understand and realize that we have more power over creating the life that we want than we think we do. And when I look back over my life, like, I used to be such a victim of circumstances. I used to think that I had no control over my life. I used to have that classic sort of life is happening to me. Everything just happens to me. And then it was only when sort of 5 years ago I started on this personal growth journey, and I kind of had this awakening, and I really started to understand how much power we have just by changing the way that we think. So I am all about cultivating a positive mindset. And one thing I will add to that is that it's not about toxic positivity. This is something that you and I have touched on. It's not about that. I'm not always in a good mood. I'm not always feeling positive. Of course not. Nobody is. But I do believe that by cultivating a positive mindset, which again doesn't mean you're like happy all the time. It's just a way of thinking so that it helps you deal with life in a better way. And ultimately it makes your life better. So yeah, mindset is a really, really big thing in the work that I do, not least because I've seen the impact, the positive impact that it's had on my life. So my top 10 mindset tips include all the kinds of things that you and I talk about. You know, what are you consuming? It's all about sort of, you know, meditation, taking walks in nature, making sure you're listening to the right things, making sure you're following the right people. All of these little things that we can do every single day, but actually have a huge, huge impact on the way that we feel, and subsequently the life that we live and the life that we sort of see before us. Because our lives are a reflection, you know, it's like our outer world is ultimately a reflection of our internal world. And another thing that you and I talk about all the time is it's so much of how we feel and so much of how our life actually ends up looking is to do with the lens that we are looking at it through. And essentially, we get to choose the pair of glasses that we put on in the morning. And if we want, we can choose a pair of glasses that picks up on all of the shit that's going on in the world and all of the negative stuff. Or we can choose to put on a pair of glasses where we look for the good and where we're cultivating that positive mindset. So, yeah.
A very quick break to ask you to hit the follow or subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you're enjoying this episode, I'd be super grateful if you could hit those stars and rate it too. Thank you. Yeah, and it's so powerful. And so moving on to to Thrive Solo, you know, that's a place where people can come. It's such a you know, it's a community essentially of like-minded people who are all experiencing the same thing, who get an opportunity to come and listen and kind of in the group and chat, don't they, about all of this stuff to keep them in this sort of mindset. So maybe just tell us a little bit more about that. Someone who might come and why might you join to come and join Thrive Solo?
Thanks for asking, love. So do you know what? I have to say that I'm really, really proud of Thrive Solo, because the women in there are just so fabulous and so supportive. And I mean, for example, what's really lovely is that they sometimes have independent meetups. So, for example, in London this weekend, a few of the girls who live in London met up on Saturday. And, there's been other meetups of Thrive Solo members independent of the group, which makes my heart sing, because that is what I want for people, to connect with other single women. And I would say the reasons, so there are people in Thrive Solo on all different parts of the spectrum of being single or not having kids. There are some people in there who are really not enjoying being single but who want to. There are women in there who are feeling really sad about the fact that they didn't have kids. Perhaps they didn't choose to be child free, but they've ended up not having kids. And then there are also women on the other end of the spectrum who are already happily single and happily child free. And then there are women in the middle, somewhere in between. But what Thrive Solo does, I think one of the most powerful things about it is that, and it goes back to this thing that I talk about so much, which is the people you surround yourself and what you are consuming impacts the way that you feel about yourself and your life. So one of the best things about joining Thrive Solo, and it you can, anyone who's interested, by the way, can go to lucymagazine.com/Thrive Solo, and if you go to that page on my website, you can literally read multiple testimonials from people. That is the best way to find out why you would join. But I think that the key thing about it is, just by being part of a community of other single women without kids, that alone normalizes the way that you feel about your own single status. Like, you cannot help feel better about being single or not having kids when you are surrounded by other women who are also living that life. And there is that sense of community on the live calls. And then, of course, there's the WhatsApp group where we're sort of, we might send various articles, we might send podcast recommendations. So it's not only the single childless thing, it's also, I'm very, what my mission for it is to constantly be cultivating that positive way of looking at the world and cultivating that positive mindset. So, I might send a recommendation for a podcast that I've listened to that was really inspiring, or whatever it is. But yeah, the reason why someone would join is because either, take somebody who's already happy being single and, chose to not have kids. For somebody like that, it's a place to come and have other people who are also living that life, just to sort of validate that way of life. And then for people who aren't feeling so good about it, it's a way of being around people who are feeling happy about it. And of course, when it's like, say you're feeling bad about being single, but you're surrounding yourself and you're hearing conversation about, oh my God, it's so great to be single, that it's going to slowly start changing the way that you feel about your single status. Mm-hmm. So that really is, it's very, very simple, but it's very, very effective. And I think that joining Thrive Solo, being in that community, you just, by osmosis, it starts to shift the way that you feel about your single life. But again, all you've got to do is go to read the testimonials on the Thrive Solo page on my website, and you can read for yourself how it's impacted and affected people's lives in a really positive way. So yeah, I'm really proud of it, and I love it. And actually, another thing I'll say about it is that whenever, like I say, we have 3 or 4 live calls a month, and without fail, every single live call, I always come off feeling uplifted and inspired and just really kind of high vibe. They're very, it's just like, I had a call with, some of the guys in the States and Canada on Friday night, which went on for nearly 2 hours, which kind of goes to show, you know what I mean? And the calls are pretty much always 90 minutes at least. We had about 20 people on a call on Saturday, which was on Saturday evening. There are about 20 of us, and the conversation just goes all over the place. So we can start off talking about one thing and end up talking about something completely different, but it's always a really, the reason I love this community so much, and the reason I'm so proud of it, is that it's a really, really supportive space, and someone can, share something on a call and feel just feel really held and feel really supported and not feel intimidated. The women are kind and supportive, and they're there to kind of, we big each other up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that kind of space. So I really do love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the moment that you surround yourself with people who are experiencing something similar or
Yeah.
are in a position which are people who are in a similar situation to you, as you said, but you're not quite there
Yeah.
yet. That it's so inspiring, and that is how we kind of
Yeah.
grow.
Yeah.
And and that is the power of community and
Totally.
talking and opening up. So
Yeah, it's huge. And the thing also, when I created the group, one thing I was really clear about in my mind was that I did not want it to be a place where people came on and moaned about being
yeah,
single. That is not what it is. If you are, if that's the kind of community that you're looking for, then Thrive Solo is not for you. And I was very, very kind of clear in my head, and I am quite adamant about that. It is not somewhere to come and moan and complain. That said, it is a place where if something is bothering you, or if you're struggling with something, you can absolutely bring it to the group. You can mention it in the WhatsApp group, whatever. But more than that, it is a space to feel good, because the last thing you want to do if you're feeling bad about being single is sit around and moan on about how shit it is with a load of other people. That is not going to make you feel better. What we want to be doing is the opposite of that, having conversations about why it gets to be great. But again, there is obviously still space for people to talk about things that they're struggling with, and we do on the calls, but I like to think that I make sure that the balance always kind of comes back to slightly the other way. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? Rather than dwelling on the
And
negative,
that's
I
an
like to,
art, Lucy. That's
well,
an
it's
art. That's
sometimes not easy.
yeah, and it's about getting, you're right, it's about getting that balance,
Yeah.
about allowing people to feel
Yeah.
heard. It's funny, I was talking, so we hosted for Giles's mum's 80th on Saturday. We hosted a surprise party for her. So
Oh,
there were quite a lot of 80-year-olds in our house. And it was really interesting talking to a couple of them who were saying at their age, they get so annoyed by the amount of people you go, how are you? And they'll start just listing off all
all the
of the
things that's wrong.
ailments of all the
Yeah.
things which are
Yeah.
parts of the body which aren't working right or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And we had exactly that conversation. It's like, well, okay, sometimes it's good to be heard, but actually, what you don't want to dwell on it, because yes,
Yeah.
we're all going to have ailments. Everyone's got something which is
Yeah.
going on,
Yeah.
but actually, let's move on. Let's make the most of what we do have. Let's talk about the things that we are going right. And it was so lovely to hear them talking about it in that way,
Yeah.
because it's so
It
powerful.
is so powerful, and it's just something that, you know we often don't realize how important the words that we speak actually are, the words that we're saying to ourselves in our minds and the words that we're saying out loud.
Yes.
Like they matter. The words that we're saying really matter, because they are impacting the way that we feel and the way that we see the world. So, and I know exactly what you mean about, for example, older people who are like, oh, I've got this and I've got this and I've got this. And again, it's a mindset. It's a mindset. Because, and when I look back, I used to be much more like that than I am these days. It used to be, oh, well, this is happening and this is happening and this has gone wrong and this is shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when the problem is, I think when you're stuck in that, it's very, very difficult to get out of it, or even to realize that it's even happening. Do you know what I mean? I think when you're sort of in that mentality, you almost don't even realize that you're there. We're getting these really, I'm just looking at some of the messages just to see
Yes,
what
I
they
think you might
say.
have a new potential member.
Great.
Pro Solo.
But, but
Yes.
but yes, it is definitely very important to just be mindful of the words that you're actually saying to yourself and to other people, because they matter, and they are impacting the way that you feel about your life and the life that you subsequently live. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And that is why, with your podcast, you honestly, Lucy, I don't know how you do it. I mean, obviously this is pretty easy, this episode, but you do your mini-sode on the Saturday, which is for those singles who are feeling perhaps a little bit, you need a bit of a pick me up at the weekend, and then your main episode, which goes out on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
But all of that content, and I listen to some of your episodes as well, and I'm not even single, but it's uplifting, it just it's all about helping you to be the best version of yourself, and the amount of work
Thanks.
you put into that doesn't is vast. And so yeah, it's just what you are creating is really just so
Thanks.
inspiring for someone who, yeah, just to help people in this space. And
Yeah.
there are many people out there, and I think the problem is, even just from my point of view, is you're just expected just to get on with life. You're not seen, you're not heard. So to have
Mm.
an environment, a community where you are seen, you are heard, and you can absolutely thrive to be your best, I think is
Yeah.
just amazing.
Thanks,
So I want to hear
Polly.
more about your book.
Oh
So the
God.
book, so I know you said you're going to do the audio book, but this again is just fantastic. So your book's coming out. People can pre-order it now,
Yes.
though. So tell
Thanks,
everybody what
love.
they can do.
Thanks, Polly. So basically, yeah. So the book is so the UK version of it's the same book, but there's two different titles. So the
And what is the
UK
book? Tell us about the book actually in the book.
right.
What are people going to expect from the book?
So the book is essentially a celebration of being single and not having kids. That is, in a nutshell, that is what it is. It's about the joy of embracing a single child-free life. That is basically what it is. But what it consists of, it's a little bit about my story, but it also consists of about 30 interviews that I did for the book with single child-free women. So it's their stories as well. So basically, whoever you are, it's going to make you feel good about being single. It's going to put a smile on your face. It's a very upbeat book. It's yeah. I mean, I mean, I think about it now, and I'm just like, how the fuck have I written a bloody book? I mean, it's just so it's been such. The thing is, as you know better than most, it's been an incredibly long and arduous process. But anyway, I actually did a podcast that my last week's Tuesday episode, I did a solo episode called The One Where I Wrote a Book, where I go into all the detail about what that journey looked like and how I got the UK deal and then the US deal. But basically the UK version of the book is called Shiny Happy Singles, and it comes out on the 19th of June. But for anyone who thinks they want to order it once it comes out, you can actually pre-order the book now, and you can get a 25% discount right now, which is a limited time offer. So it's only till the beginning of May, but you can there's a link in my bio, but you can go to bloomsbury.com, Bloomsbury, the UK publisher, bloomsbury.com/shiny happy singles. If you go to that and then use a code at checkout, and the code is SHS25, as in Shiny Happy Singles, SHS and the number 25. So if you are in the UK and you would like to buy the book, do go and get it now, because you get 25% discount. And in the US and Canada, the book is called Thrive Solo, and that comes out on the 24th of June, so just a week later. And you can still pre-order the book now, basically by going to lucymeggerson.com/book, and I've put various links on that page on my website to bookshop.org, Amazon in the UK, Amazon in the US. You can actually, in the US, you can order the Audible version. You can't, the Audible version, the Audible link isn't ready in the UK yet, but it will be soon. But you can order it on Kindle. You can order it from Waterstones in the UK, or Bloomsbury, or Amazon in the US. You can order it on Indigo, Bookshop, various other places, but all the links are at lucymeggerson.com/book, and you can just go to that via the link in my bio. Thanks, Polly, for letting me have a bit of a
how long's
plug.
the audio version going to take to record?
Well, I'm going to be recording it for 3 days.
Wow.
So yeah, and it's not a long book, so it just goes to show how I think it's going to be an interesting process. But I'm super excited about recording it, not least because obviously, you and I are both used to talking because we both have podcasts. So that's kind of my comfort zone. So it doesn't intimidate me to go into a studio and read the audiobook. If anything, I'm super excited because it's such a luxury to have a proper studio and a producer. So it's
Yes.
just that to me is like
Enjoy
that's fucking
that.
heaven. That is
Yes,
heaven
my
for me.
gosh.
So I'm really
Well,
excited. But
that
yeah,
is your dream realized, Lucy. You are going to be
exactly,
in front of the microphone doing it,
exactly.
and you've got someone else doing what you used to
I
do.
know, I know.
So lap that
Exactly
up.
that. So it's
So
yeah. So
exciting.
thanks for
Oh,
asking, Mel.
congratulations. It's just very, very
Thank
exciting.
you so
Is there
much.
anything else, Lucy, that you would like to say before we finish?
No, I think I'm nearly done, and it's exactly 9:30, so we've done our exact half an hour. But thank you for indulging me this week. I appreciate it.
Oh,
And yeah,
no, I'm very excited for you. It's all
cheers, love.
happening. So, yes.
Thank you.
All
Well, we'll
right.
be back here on. Will we be back here on Monday?
Oh, I don't
Next Monday?
know. We need to
Yeah, we need to
discuss.
discuss. Yeah, we'll
Yes.
discuss.
Okay.
All right, love. Thank
All right.
you.
Okay.
Speak to you
Take
later.
care.
Lots of love.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Bye.